Hi there, I'm Robert Williams. I'm 35 years old and I live in Austin, Texas. The story I'm about to tell you is my real story. Maybe I'm sharing the most painful memories of my life with you, because that night when I came home, I faced the biggest shock of my life. My house was empty. My wife Ashley and my little daughter Isabella were nowhere to be found. Even stranger, my 19-year-old son Michael wasn't home either. What seemed like an ordinary situation at first began to give clues that would confuse me over time. The information the neighbors gave, the police investigation, and finally that phone call. I faced a truth that would never even cross my mind. This wasn't just a missing person case. This was the darkest day for my family. So what had happened? Let me tell you from the beginning. 7 years ago, when I decided to turn a new page in my life, I had no idea what kind of spiral my destiny would get into. My first marriage was over and I had a 12-year-old son, Michael. At that time, I was just looking for a good mother figure for my child. I met Ashley Martinez at a local cafe. She was 21, beautiful and energetic. Ashley, who was of Latino origin, made me feel that life could be beautiful again. When I married her, I thought we would build a perfect family. There was only an 8-year age gap between Michael and Ashley. That didn't bother me at all back then. I even thought Ashley being young would help her get along better with Michael. How wrong I was, I would find out much later. The first years were really beautiful. Ashley was trying to be a real mother to Michael. In the second year of our marriage, our little princess Isabella was born. That was the happiest moment of my life. Now I had a complete family. Michael had started high school. Ashley was taking care of Isabella at home. I was working in construction, coming home tired but happy. On weekends, we went on picnics, watched movies. From the outside, we looked like a perfect family. But now when I look back, there were signs that I missed at that time. The time Ashley spent with Michael, the conversations between them. Back then, I thought this was natural. I thought how nice the stepmother and son get along well. When Michael was 17, 18 years old, something started to change at home. Arguments between Ashley and me increased. She accused me of being violent, of using alcohol. Yes, I had a drink or two on tough days, but never violence. I never did that. The atmosphere at home began to get tense. There were days when Ashley didn't want to talk to me. When I came home from work, I usually found her chatting with Michael. I thought, at least she gets along well with my son. Michael was 19 now, studying at community college and working part-time. He was a young man now, but I still saw him as my little child. I never thought that he might have emotional needs too, that he might feel close to the wrong person. Studying at community college and working part-time. He was a young man now, but I still saw him as my little child. I never thought that he might have emotional needs too, that he might feel close to the wrong person. Now that I think about it, all the signs were there. Michael's looks at Ashley, Ashley's interest in Michael, but I didn't notice these things. As a father, my mind couldn't comprehend that my son could look at my stepmother that way. On days when I came home early from work, I would find them sitting close together in the living room talking. I thought they're like family, but actually something completely different was developing between them. Ashley's behavior had changed too. She started spending less time with me. In the evenings, she and Michael would take care of Isabella together. While I was watching TV, they would have long conversations in the kitchen. I thought, thank goodness Ashley is there. She's taking care of Michael. March 27th, 2024. I can never forget this date. That day was a normal day, at least for me. I went to work in the morning. Ashley and Isabella were at home. Michael would come back from college anyway. When I got home at 7 p.m. that evening, I opened the door and there was silence. Ashley? Isabella? I called out. No answer. I looked in Michael's room. He wasn't there either. At first, I thought Ashley had taken Isabella to visit friends. It was 8, 9, 10 o'clock. They weren't answering their phones. At 11 o'clock, I really started to worry. I called Ashley's friends. Nobody had seen her. Michael's friends hadn't seen him either. I couldn't sleep that night. I was going to call the police in the morning. The next morning, I went to Austin Police Department. Officer Johnson took care of me. When I said, my wife and son are missing, he looked at me strangely. Then he asked, how old is your son? When I said 19, he said he wouldn't officially be considered missing because he was an adult. But I insisted. They talked to the neighbors, and that's when I learned that neighbors had seen Ashley and Michael being very close lately, spending a lot of time together. My neighbor Martha told me, Robert, I noticed that Ashley had been acting very close to Michael lately, but I didn't know how to tell you. These words confused me. What did she mean? Then I realized that Michael's car was missing too. The old Honda Civic was gone. The police searched the house. I noticed that some of Michael's belongings were missing from his room. Some of Ashley's clothes were missing from her closet too. Isabella's toys were missing as well. This looked like a planned escape. But who had run away with whom? That horrible truth never even crossed my mind. The police asked me questions. Did you notice any closeness between Ashley and Michael? When I heard this question, my stomach turned. What do you mean? I asked. Officer Johnson looked seriously and said, Mr. Williams, neighbors report that they've seen unusual closeness between your wife and son lately. At that moment, the world collapsed on me. No, this wasn't possible. My son and my wife? No, it can't be. The next 2 weeks were the longest days of my life. I went to the police department every day. They checked credit card records. It was understood that they had left Texas with Michael's card, then went towards California through New Mexico. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't work during the day. I was constantly looking at my phone. Maybe they would call, maybe they would give an explanation. I was most worried about Isabella. How was my 8-year-old daughter understanding this situation? What was she going through? This thought was driving me crazy. My mother Margaret was with me all the time. Robert, calm down, there must be an explanation, she said. But I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. 2 weeks later, on April 10th, Ashley called. When I answered the phone, I felt like she was calling from very far away. Robert, it's Ashley, she said. I could tell from her voice that she was crying. Where are you? Where's Isabella? What's happening? I asked. There was a long silence. Then Ashley said those horrible words. Robert, I'm with Michael. I love him. It was like lightning struck. What are you saying? He's my son, I shouted. I know, Robert, but I couldn't stop what happened. Something developed between us. I was unhappy with you and Michael. I hung up the phone. My hands were shaking. I had lost my ability to think. My son, my wife, how could this be possible? My life went dark after that day. My son had betrayed me. My wife had left me. And together they had taken my little daughter too. Michael called me one day. Dad, I'm sorry, he said, but I didn't know what to say to him. How could you do this? I'm your father, I said. He was crying too. I don't know, Dad, it just happened. Something started between Ashley and me, and we couldn't stop it. I raised this child for 19 years. I protected him, supported his dreams, and this is how he thanked me? I also talked to Ashley. She wanted to divorce me. I want to marry Michael, she said. It was the most absurd thing I had ever heard. I immediately went to a lawyer. I filed a lawsuit for Isabella's custody. I had to go to court to get my own daughter back. My lawyer told me, this is a very rare situation, but it's not healthy for Isabella to stay in that environment. The court process began. Ashley and Michael were living in Los Angeles. They were acting like a couple. This sight was killing me. I wanted to see Isabella, but Ashley wouldn't let me. The child will be confused, she said. Not being able to see my own daughter was the greatest torture for a father. Austin is a small town. Everyone heard about this incident. People looked at me with pitying eyes. Some felt sorry, some were just curious. I couldn't even work at my job. This incident was constantly on my mind. I kept thinking, where did I go wrong? Maybe if I had paid more attention to Ashley, maybe if I had talked to Michael more. My mother told me, Robert, you didn't do anything wrong. This was their choice. But I felt guilty. 3 months later, Michael came home alone. He had separated from Ashley. When he knocked on my door, I didn't know what to feel when I saw him. Dad, I'm so sorry, he said. He was crying. I made a big mistake. I wanted to hug him, but I was also angry. Why, Michael? Why did you do such a thing? I don't know, Dad. I fell in love with Ashley. Being my age, I felt close to a woman for the first time in my life. But then I realized it was wrong. I hurt you. I broke up the family. I decided to give him a second chance, because he was still my son. As a result of the court case, Isabella's custody was given to me. When my daughter came home, seeing her was the happiest moment of my life. But Isabella had been traumatized. "Why is Mom with Michael?" she asked. I didn't know how to explain it to her. I took her to a child psychologist. Over time, Isabella returned to normal. But sometimes she would ask, "When is Mom coming?" Michael was home now too. But our relationship was never the same as before. It will take years for him to regain that trust. Today, a year after this incident, I'm telling you this story. My life has completely changed. Now my view of marriage is different. My trust in people is shaken. Isabella lives with me. She goes to school, trying to be a happy child. Michael is with me too. He continues university. There's still a strange tension between them. I divorced Ashley. She still lives in California. Sometimes she calls Isabella, but she no longer has a place in our lives. This story taught me that trust is more important than anything in a family. And sometimes even the closest people can hurt you the most. I hope no one ever experiences something like this, because watching a family fall apart is the greatest pain for a father. The reason I'm telling this story is to be a lesson for other families. If you have problems in your marriage, talk about them. Communicate with your children. And most importantly, don't ignore what's happening in your family. I ignored those signs. The result is obvious. My family fell apart. My trust was shaken. But life goes on. I'm trying to open a new page with Isabella and Michael. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope your families will always be happy. This story is told from a father's perspective, inspired by real events. It emphasizes the importance of family values and the need to preserve trust.